Manchester United right to stop any transfers away from the club for the likes of Joshua Zirkzee and Kobbie Mainoo? We're going to talk about that tonight, and a report that is coming out that Manchester United have locked the door on the changing room as such. Well, you could sort of say that's a bit going too far, but they're not allowing anyone to leave, and we're going to discuss it. We're going to talk about Zirkzee's chances at United and Mainoo's chances, because Samuel Luckhurst has brought that news to our attention this afternoon. We're going to talk about that, talk about Harry Maguire's injury as well, Manchester United on the Rasmus Højlund situation, and an imminent, quicker than thought at first, well, transfer to Napoli. It looks like it's all going ahead for Rasmus Højlund. What did Sir Jim Ratcliffe say when Lewandowski was mentioned in Manchester United transfer talks? We're going to talk about that as well. Stadium update also tonight, everybody. Please do get your comments in the live section and get involved tonight, Monday evening. Looking ahead to what is going to be I'm guessing a busy week at Carrington for Manchester United in preparation for that massive game against Forest at weekend. Obviously, everyone's fighting for their places now, and everyone knows that while Manchester United are winning, it's not going to be easy to get back in this side. So, where does that leave the likes of Kobbie, Mainoo, Joshua Zirkzee? With all of the players in their way, do they stand a chance? And are Manchester United right in not allowing them to leave the football club this January? That is the big talking point right now. Samuel Luckhurst, now of the Sun, has come out and said that Manchester United are not going to allow Zirkzee or Mainoo to leave. Well, he didn't really say that, but any player requesting a transfer this January is going to be refused, is the word coming out of Carrington again. Now, we spoke about Joshua Zirkzee being wanted. In fact, there was more stories this morning about Roma hopefully looking to take Joshua Zirkzee away in January. He needs to play. He needs to be in this team and getting regular football to get into the Holland side. We've talked about all of that as well, but this is just not going to happen. Manchester United standing firm. Is it right that these players should be kept on the bench and not feature for Manchester United? Is Ruben Amorim right in what he said, that Casemiro is the example? If you keep on working hard and you prove your point, then you will get into this side. It's alright saying it for one position, and Casemiro, yes, he's come in, but Manchester United are really lacking in numbers in that area of the pitch. Whereas where Kobbie Mainoo and Joshua Zirkzee want to play, we have invested a hell of a lot of money, and the competition for places is fierce in that area. In fact, Kobbie Mainoo would be hoping that Joshua Zirkzee would miss out because Bruno was moved into 10, like when Bryan Mbeumo goes to AFCON, maybe. A lot of people think that Bruno will stay where he is and Joshua Zirkzee would have a good chance. But if that was the case, then Kobbie Mainoo would be surplus to requirements also. All of this because the players cannot move, and Ruben Amorim really does not care about international duty. He does not care that Manchester United players are looking to fight for their places for their international teams and their nations ready for that World Cup in 2026. It's all about the now, and you know what? We can't really say that he's wrong in saying this, and he's not wrong in wanting to keep hold of the maximum squad that he can get. Look, I feel like this subject is going to change as we go forward into December, then into January. Things are going to change. More games will come about. United might have to rotate a little bit more. And obviously, you're expecting some injuries at some point down the line. The inevitable 3 players leaving for AFCON as we hit the back end of December going into the new year also. There will be opportunities there. But I think the biggest thing is with these players is, and AFCON finishes halfway through January max if your players actually reach that far. So you still got a good chunk of the January transfer window left for these players to make their moves. And I think it's going to come down to what happens in December when the fixtures pile up, because Manchester United going into the new year as well, they don't have a lot of games. Yes, the FA Cup is coming in, and that's going to add another game to the fixture list, hopefully, and we can go on a good run and actually play a few more games into the back end of the season. But it's still not going to be enough, I don't think. It's still going to be on the week-on-week, one game a week type of schedule for Manchester United. So there's no room there for Zirkzee and Mainoo. I don't know how he's going to balance this. And again, it's the big question. And I put it into the poll. Should Zirkzee and Mainoo be allowed to leave? Or should we actually look at this and say this is just Manchester United acting as they should? And they should be looking at these players and saying, look, you're under contract. You're not going anywhere. We need you as squad players. Get involved. Ruben has got a get out with this and not allowing these players to leave the football club, because he can always use the Casemiro excuse. Well, it's not an excuse, but it's an example probably more than anything. He's always got that there, and I think this is why he's making a big point about this and talking up Casemiro a lot. Yes, Casemiro's been playing fantastic for us, and the stats don't lie. When he's with us, we're better. When when we're without him, we're not as good. So looking at Casemiro right now, he is that example to Kobbie, Mainoo and Joshua Zirkzee, but I just think it's a different level again. I think these two players are younger, less experienced, they've got less chance of getting in. And looking at Ruben Amorim, he does like the experienced player. That's why we've got Shaw, that's why we've got Maguire in the side, Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro. All of these players now, 30, are going into their early 30s. It's clear what Ruben actually likes, and a younger player in Mainoo, a younger player in Zirkzee, after players being brought in the summer to replace them near enough in their positions, just on the position side of things, it doesn't look bright. It doesn't look hopeful for either one of these players. And again, it makes you think, doesn't it? And I actually feel, and I'm going to get your opinions all on this now, but I actually feel it's because Manchester United will not get their top targets that they want in January. There may be a loan come in here and there like we've spoken about, but there is no definite transfers happening in January for Manchester United in terms of permanent ones. I think it's going to be a really exciting month as to what comes in on the loan market, and we're going to be keeping an eye all over that. But I just think that Manchester United, in case they have any issues in January, and they will fight all the way till deadline day in January to get the right players that they want, I just feel like Manchester United are going to keep hold of the likes of Zirkzee and Mainoo until they know they definitely cannot be replaced, or they can be replaced, and someone else will come in. I just don't see that player arriving. Zirkzee I'm never going to get, unless he's thinking, because Mbeumo's missing, maybe another option for the likes of Sesko. I mean, if Cunha starts and he wants to rest Sesko, and he has to play Zirkzee and maybe Zirkzee and Mounts up front with Cunha as the number 9. Well, we haven't got Mbeumo in here, and Sesko needs a rest. I'm trying to think outside the box as to how he gets into the side, and I'm struggling. I really am struggling how Joshua Zirkzee actually comes into Manchester United's side. But we will see, won't we? This is where it's going to be down to Ruben Amorim and seeing how he visualises what's going to happen going forward. He's talked about this big plan. He's talked about Manchester United using Kobbie Mainoo and Joshua Zirkzee and being patient, and them both working hard on the training ground. I think everybody's just waiting to see what Ruben does now as soon as that January transfer window opens. But the news is that they're not going anywhere. So give me your thoughts on that, please, everybody, in the chat right now. If we compare Alex Iwobi with Wharton, I think we are at least, we can at least go toe-to-toe with Arsenal. What are you on about there, Nikos? I don't know what that is about there. Needs to steady veteran midfield, not a superstar, just a steady anchor in the midfield. We will beat Forest, and our bigger away test is Spurs, says Emmanuel on that one. Give me your thoughts on Zirkzee and on Kobbie Mainoo. Tom, what's that there? Homby says, I thought Zirkzee looked better than Mainoo when he came on Saturday. Mainoo doesn't look interested. Looks can be deceiving, and body language can put you off, I feel, as well. But I think Mainoo looked a bit better when he was moved further forward when Matthias Cunha came off the pitch. And I think that's what it was. I think it's out of position at the moment, and he just doesn't feel like he's being used to the best of his abilities, I would say. It's like, it seemed like a strange substitute anyway when Mainoo came on instead of Agate in that position. Like, a Mainoo for Casemiro, I just don't think he's a good substitute, especially when Bruno's the midfielder next to him. So, look, I think sometimes body language can be deceiving, and it's not the be-all and end-all. We need strength in depth, so only allow Zirkzee or Mainoo to leave if we have a better to take their place. This is the thing. I don't actually think Manchester United are going to go out and buy someone who is similar to Joshua Zirkzee right now. This is where it gets confusing for me, because I don't understand why Ruben would not move Zirkzee on. I think Zirkzee moving on is the most natural fit, because he's not going to get any value. I don't see him surviving in the summer. And you can talk about having squad depth, but if United are actually looking at moving Zirkzee on in the summer, then he's not going to be worth anything because he's not playing football. And I just don't think he's going to play enough football for Manchester United to actually gather any value for us to sell him when the summer transfer window comes along. So I just don't get the Joshua Zirkzee situation at all. He is not going to start a game for Manchester United. That player then becomes worthless, and that player then loses value. Loan him out. Let him go on loan till the end of the season, and then you could probably look at maybe gathering a few pound coins for Joshua Zirkzee. He could be that player that actually then helps you buy somebody else that's needed, i.e. another midfielder to come in and help Manchester United next season. So, look, I'm never going to understand why he won't let Joshua Zirkzee go. He is just not going to play. It's as simple as that. Mr. Dacia Sandero, welcome to the chat, my man. Hi, Adam. I wouldn't have thought that United would let Mainoo and Zirkzee leave, especially when the AFCON sees us losing 3 key players, but at the same time, for their careers, they should leave. Look, I said AFCON would probably be the biggest argument against the players leaving, but are they going to play still? Bruno's still going to be here. Agate, Casemiro, all still going to be here. They're not going anywhere. So Mainoo, not really. And then you're looking at that front line. Sesko's going to be here. Cunha's going to be here. Mount's going to be here. Shea Lacey's going to probably step forward like we discussed this morning as well. You've got all of that going on. It's just not going to happen for him. It's not going to happen. And I think it's crazy how we aren't allowing him to go. We'll see. It could just all be stories. It could all be a bit of a smokescreen, and we could be planning something. So let's just see what happens with that one. Zirkzee really doesn't matter. Defo, sell him. I'd keep Mainoo to the summer, then sell him if we need central midfield cover. Mainoo suits a 3 midfield, not a 2. Zirkzee Agate will leave in the summer. I'd go for Gallagher in January and then a Anderson in July, says Stu. That was Carl with the previous comment about just letting Zirkzee go as well. I've not found one person come out with a valid defence of keeping Joshua Zirkzee. This is where we're at right now. Why would you? I just don't know. I don't get me wrong. I don't mind the guy. I think he has got some form of quality, but I just don't ever see this man starting a game for Manchester United. I know he wants to. I know he's got the right attitude, but it's a weird one, it is. Squad isn't that deep. Need to keep until the end of the season, says Andreas. Again, though, for him, knocking on the door, is it worth having a player that is disgruntled and is maybe going to be a bit of an issue behind the scenes? Do we want that pressure and do we want that environment around while we're finishing off this season? Because he's not going to be happy not featuring, and he's not going to feature. Simple. You can't compete. Thank you for that. Please smash the like button, everybody. Keep them coming in. Thank you to everyone who has liked the video already. Zirkzee is a strange one for me. Amorim doesn't really fancy him and has next to no chance of getting game time. It's time to let him go, in my opinion, for our sake and for the players' sake. True. Very true. Let's move it forward onto the news that Fabrizio Romano brought us earlier on today. And this is quite big in a way. And that is that Manchester United are preparing to receive a confirmation that Rasmus Højlund, Napoli are going to trigger Rasmus Højlund's buy option within the next few months. This is from Fabrizio Romano. He's definitely going to be a Napoli player. I think they're comfortable with their win record. I think the 7 wins from 9 in their Serie A and Scudetto. So they are comfortably going to make top 4. He's probably going to comfortably, now with the injuries that Napoli have got, play the right amount of games. I'm talking Lukaku, obviously having De Bruyne has just dropped down. I did put a little short out story earlier on socials regarding Scott McTominay and that crazy rumour about him leaving Napoli because it's too much pressure being a club legend and being idolised by the Napoli fans. Crap, yeah, the Sun again. And it was them who actually spoke about the Joshua Zirkzee and Kobbie Mainoo through Samuel Lucker. So you can sort of take that with a pinch of salt as well if you want. We all know this situation is there, so let's just look at it through the factual side of things. They're not getting games, but One man that is getting games is Rasmus Højlund. One man that needed to get games to trigger that the buy clause from Napoli. And Romano is saying that this deal is now getting very, very close to finishing and finalising. And Manchester United are going to have everything in their power Manchester United are going to have all of that money then to go and spend in the summer transfer window. So good news again for Manchester United that Rasmus's deal is looking very, very close to being finalised. It is excellent. And what we're talking about here is what we've said many a times before, that Manchester United need every single penny just in case we don't get to Europe. If we do get to Europe and we've still got every single penny available to us, it gives us a lot more bargaining chips and it helps Manchester United attract better players. And if you've got extra bits of money like 38 million for Rasmus Højlund, and that's him completely off Manchester United's books with a bit of change on the side, then that is going to go a long way into bringing in that midfielder that we desperately need going into this summer transfer window. So that being said, yes, it is very, very important that United get this deal over the line, and Rasmus is taking care of it himself. Well done, Rasmus Højlund, for his role and what he's done so far for Napoli, because it's convinced them, according to Romano, to cash in already and actually get Rasmus on the books officially and permanently. United are quids in with it. Brilliant, love it, fantastic. That just gives us that little bit more going into the summer transfer window. Compare Rasmus Højlund, for instance, right now to Jadon Sancho. Did you see the video? Stu Mod in the chat there, Volp sent me the video earlier on. Someone clipped up Jadon Sancho coming onto the pitch and going off the pitch. He wasn't prepared to come onto the pitch. He wasn't prepared as a substitute. He didn't have anything ready, his laces or anything like that. The man's an absolute joke. He's a clown. I'm so glad that he's away from Manchester United this summer. But then the absolute disrespect on this man as he's coming back onto the pitch. I think it's Ross Barkley who's coming on. And he holds his hand out to try and, obviously, you high five the player coming on. You show respect to the player that's coming on the pitch. He basically just blanked him. We've seen this before with Jadon Sancho. You slap-ass absolute moron. That's what he is. And then Unai Emery goes up to shake his hand and he walks right past the manager and disrespects him in front of national TV cameras. And then you look at Rasmus Højlund and Scott McTominay and what they're doing. Honestly, Manchester United's recruitment of the past, thank God we have got past this. And this is why I made a big point about this in the video this morning, because we don't have to deal with that crap anymore. And honestly, I love the fact that Rasmus Højlund conducted business the way that he did in the summer. Never kicked up one stink, stayed professional, wanted to stay, wasn't going to stay. United made it clear they didn't want him, and out of the door he went. And this is all good for Manchester United, because we just haven't got them absolute clowns in this squad anymore. And I'm so glad that the drama has left the building. I really am. But 38 million... Sancho's money off the books, that loan fee that we got for Villa and a few other bits of money. We have done all right in getting rid of these deadbeats. And I cannot believe that the manager of Dortmund came out and said that Jadon Sancho could still win the Ballon d'Or. I cannot believe them words came out of that man's mouth. He is pathetic. He's a pathetic excuse of a professional footballer, this guy. The freedom fighter himself. Even his mate Marcus Rashford doesn't want to know him anymore. Not responding to that message that he sent him. I'm not surprised. Rashford's actually doing bits at Barcelona right now. Jadon Sancho just sat there on his own, twiddling his thumbs, with no bomb squad left to support him. And I just think he's destroyed his career. Thank God he's leaving this summer, and I don't have to even think about this guy coming anywhere near Carrington again. But Rasmus money in the bank, just to make that point clear there anyway. Did anyone else get into the comment section, did anyone else see that video on Jadon Sancho? I didn't see it until Stu sent it me earlier on, but what an absolute disgrace. Absolute disgrace of a footballer. He cannot even call himself a professional footballer, this guy. He's an absolute... and he's gone. Stop getting angry at him. He's gone. You don't need to worry about him anymore. Andreas with a super chat says, any news on Freedom Fighter at Villa? ? No buying yet? ? I am so surprised. Can't be. He is his own hero. May he end up in a League 2. Overrated, poor Villa. It says Andreas. I think there's a lot of people echoing that comment there, right there. Sancho needs a proper pasting. Absolute. It's so good to see Manchester United. Look, we have gone from having the Jadon Sanchos of this world, Rashford's, Garnachos, to Cunha's and Mbeumo's. Oh my God, like seriously, to have them two players and not that absolute circus of wannabe professional footballers that we had before. Oh God, I'm listening to them Chelsea fans talking about Garnacho. I'm looking at the reaction from Villa fans and the manager and the other players at Villa on Jadon Sancho. Rashford's caught up in his dream Barcelona world. I really don't care at all about him. I'm just happy that we're not dealing with them. And I'm happy that Manchester United have moved past that stage and that phase now. And now look where we are. We look like we are on the cusp of just building something really good. And that, I think, is crucial. And I think more than crucial for the younger players coming through as well. The examples that these new players in at Manchester United are going to set for the new age of academy players coming through. I mean, Garnacho had Rashford and Sancho to look up to when he came into the side. Like, ignored Cristiano Ronaldo, his so-called hero. No one was listening to Ronaldo. Well, look, I said it before. Look, I still don't like what Ronaldo did in ditching his teammates that day on the pitch. I thought that set a bad example. But a lot of what Ronaldo said was right. And no one listening to him definitely is now showing who them players were. And when you got someone that big who's dedicated to the game like he is, whether you like him or not, and when he speaks out, you listen. And he was giving us a few warning signs about certain players in this Manchester United setup. And I think we're now seeing all of them. And thankfully, we've got people in at United that are going to wean these players out of that bleeding door and gone. Love it. Jadon Sancho is still Jadon Sancho to still win the Ballon d'Or. There's more chance of me winning that award. That clown just showed everyone on national TV what he's all about. No club should go near him. I hope he ruined his career. I really do. Sancho, our worst signing of all time, bar none. It's a big shout. It's a big shout. But Carla's got a point with that. I mean, get yours into the chat, by the way. But Jadon Sancho, for that amount of money and the amount of time we've seen on the pitch, the expectation levels of that transfer, wow, you're probably going to struggle to beat it. I mean, there is the bigger valuations like Anthony and stuff like this, but, I mean, Anthony at least tried. Jadon Sancho, he is a worthless excuse of a professional footballer. And it's mad. I reckon Sancho, Garnacho, Rashford to a certain degree, Mason Greenwood, these were the players that Cristiano was talking about when he was at the football club. And I'm pretty certain that they were the ones that were laughing back at him. Like one of the most dedicated world's best players to ever walk the planet, and you're not listening to him. That alone is red flags galore. Your alarm bells are ringing. Gone. All that conversation just happened there because we talked about Rasmus Højlund leaving Manchester United for 44 million quid in total. I'm sorry, 42 in total. A staggering deal for Manchester United, that, and that money's coming in this summer. But how professional he was, that I think is exactly the type of character that you would want in your football club. Apart from him not being good enough, that's what you need. Not the Jadon Sanchos of this world, obviously. My God, Emery's face, man. The man's got a Dracula face, to say the least. But, ooh, death stare. Absolute death stare on Jadon Sancho. My God. Anyway, so we've covered the Rasmus Højlund out that Romano talked about earlier on. Report from Samuel Lucas saying that Manchester United are blocking any transfer request this January for any player wanting to leave Manchester United. So obviously that implicates Joshua Zirkzee and Kobbie Mainoo as well. So that they're the headlines, sorry, so far. Harry Maguire's injury, Sully has come out and updated us on this. Harry Maguire's injury is minor, not serious. Everything is precautionary at this level right now with all of our injuries. There is no need to rush players back. The players that have been injured, the centre-backs, the number 10s, there is an abundance of them, as we've said already, and Manchester United just won't risk it. We had 2 centre-backs sat there on the bench at weekend anyway, even without Harry Maguire and Leacher in the squad. And again, another good sign for Manchester United that we are actually in the best condition we've ever been in terms of injuries. And I was told by the club that some of the executive suites were going to be visited by actual first-team players. So there was this idea at the start of the season that some of the players that were in the first-team squad were going to be doing the rounds, and some of the executive suites, meet and greet type of thing, coming, saying hello and saying a few words. Only the injured players, of course, and players that weren't in action. Obviously, you get the ambassadors going around, the former United greats, players like Robbo, see Dennis Irwin, Norman Whiteside, Alex Stepney, Lee Martin. There's quite a few of them that do the rounds. Anyway, these players have obviously, these players that were injured are reportedly going to be put to work by Sir Jim Radcliffe and do some of the rounds in the meet and greet side of things. And all of a sudden, Manchester United don't have any injuries anymore. It was just funny. And then this season, the one season, we found out that some of the Man United current players were going to be doing some extra work that really isn't what you'd expect. So Jim Radcliffe definitely getting the most out of his players anyway. But these players all of a sudden not being injured and everyone actually fit and available. It was just a funny coincidence, and I don't think there's anything in it, but I was just making a joke out of it. It was just that they were all fit all of a sudden and we don't have any injuries anymore. Yeah, the summer camp vibe has left the building. That sort of feeling is gone now, and Manchester United are in a miles different scenario in terms of the players. The situation is that we have got Leacher, who's back this week, Harry Maguire, who isn't that bad, Mason Mount isn't that bad either. Like, everyone's fit and available. It's good to know, and it's good to feel like we have got a full squad to pick from now, and that I think is big. I think that is massive for Manchester United. Come on, people, get them likes and subscribe if you love this channel. FUTV family, that was from You Can't Compete, who just renewed his membership. Love that, matey. Thank you so much for that. Again, anyone who has super chatted or become a member or anything like that, thank you to you all. Legends, everybody. Is anyone enjoying their downtime in between the game weeks, the weekends, by the way? I had to ask this question before. I need football. I need football desperately. And knowing that, again, we've not got another game this week, I cannot wait to get through this last international break and then pile in to the festive fixtures and get to some form of normal schedule. This is the most painful one, the last international break in 3 weeks' time. That's the last one. But even with no midweek games for Manchester United, it is horrible. It is so painful we're not having football to watch, isn't it? Don't forget, though, we have got a Rival Watch coming up as well. I did do a Rival review as well of Manchester City last night as an extra video on the channel as well. So something extra for you all to get your teeth into, so go check that out. This time last night was when we dropped that, so you'll see the video up there on the channel dashboard anyway. But yeah, it's hard work, isn't it, not having football. Let's get some more comments in on everything we've spoken about so far. Imagine Mainoo, Sesko, Fernandes as our front three in January with Stiller and Casemiro central midfielders. Stiller's not going anywhere in January, by the way. In terms of signings, again, I think it's low market for Manchester United, everybody, and nothing else is coming in. But there are some good loans to be made there, so we've still got a lot to get excited about, hopefully. Adam, will be interesting to see if Rasmus goals dry up now his service in Kevin De Bruyne is injured. Also, Plettenberg just tweeted on the Anderson to Manchester United links. Did he, actually? I will double check that just to see. I think, yeah, there's a few people actually talking about it. Plettenberg says Manchester United and Newcastle are among many many top clubs monitoring Elliot Anderson. Their interest has already been registered. Nottingham Forest are aware and are currently demanding a fee of around 100 to 120 million in the summer. Elliot Anderson for 120 million. My God. I said this would happen now, didn't I? If Carlos Palaber's worth 130 million to Brighton, then Elliot Anderson, my God, like seriously. Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest, according to Florian Plettenberg, is worth 100 to 120 million. Manchester United, Newcastle, many other Premier League clubs and clubs overseas are looking at Anderson. Has he been priced out of the market already though? Is any player worth 100 million after a season and a half of showing what he's all about? Not even a season and a half, Elliot Anderson. Where does this happen? How and why does this keep on happening? Players valued at the value they are these days, and they've not even played 2-3 full seasons. It's crazy. And I'm not saying Elliot Anderson isn't a bad player, but he's not worth 100 million. It's as simple as that. He's not a £100 million player. Now that is Nottingham Forest trying to rinse everything that they possibly can out of anybody coming in. They're fearing that European money is going to dry up this season. Obviously, there's a long way to go in the season, but they are way off where they need to be. In fact, Nottingham Forest, I think, would have to win the Europa League to get back in Europe next season, the way it's going at the moment. Obviously, relegation zone right now in the bottom three. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how the transfer window goes. Whether Alan Anderson makes it into Europe with Nottingham Forest. This is why we said that he won't move in January. But in the summer, Elliot Anderson is definitely available to Manchester United and any other club, because I don't think Forest are going to be able to keep hold of him. Especially, like I said, if they're out of Europe anyway. Definitely not. And this is from Plettenberg. The comment is right there. He's definitely triggered something on social media, Florian Plettenberg here with this one. 100 to 120 million. Why is every midfielder on the planet right now over 100 million in value? My God, I tell you what, you spend a lot of money for young players, don't you? Anyone who's under the age of 25, you have got to pay a premium for. It is a question to the chat, and if you are catching up later on and this news has just dropped in with us right now, would you spend 100 million on Elliot Anderson? Simple question. Give me a simple yes or no on that one in the chat, everybody. And alongside it, put your price next to it. What is Elliot Anderson worth? There's a few people already coming in there saying 60 million max. Again, I've seen this before on many a show of people giving their prices to certain players. I just don't think he's worth it. Not that price. Worth the investment to a certain degree, but not for that amount of money. 100% no on that one for me. Elliot Anderson is not worth 120 million quid. That is ridiculous. Honestly, that borders on disbelief. It really does. But hey, look, it is what it is, and Nottingham Forest are going to just do what Brighton are doing. If Brighton can do it, they can do it. If Palace can do it, they can do it. Look, everyone's saying 50 to 60, 70 million max is what I've seen so far. I've not seen anyone go above 70 million for Elliot Anderson in the chat right now. So I'm not surprised. Really not surprised. Not one player in the Prem worth 100 million end of. Well, I think there are. Definitely. Declan Rice is worth 100 million for the amount of games that he plays and minutes he plays and influence he has. You would pay 100 million for Declan Rice. I think that is definitely worth it. He's one player that stands out for me on that side of things. I think someone would pay 100 million for Erling Haaland. I agree. I think that definitely. He's a player, Prem proven, breaking all sorts of records. Anyone else want to throw in another £100 million player in? Ant's got us chatting about this now with that super chat. Thank you, Ant, on that one, matey. Is there anyone else here that thinks there is anybody worth 100 million in the Premier League? Give me some names in the chat right now. Let's play that game. Bowell Justice says, with his renewed membership, I won't go near any mid player over 40 million. What? Like, come on, you've got to be serious. Like, football, inflation, transfers. Elliot Anderson is worth more than 50 million quid. Elliot Anderson is a 60 to 70 million pound player in the current market. Do I think any player is worth this, by the way? No, I don't. But I'm being sensible here on what clubs will pay. 50 to 70 million mark. In between that, I think is where Elliot Anderson's value is. I just don't think you can say that there's a player worth 100 million when he's not played 2 full seasons yet. And don't get me wrong, he's had a good start to this season as well. But let's not forget also, like Nottingham Forest are out of the Carabao Cup. They're clinging on into the Europa League. They're in the relegation zone in the Premier League as well. They've gone through 3 bleeding managers already. And Elliot Anderson is part of that team, by the way. I'm not saying it's all his fault, but still, you've got to ask the question, temperaments of players. Like, is he all that just yet? Like, give it a chance. Let's see where he's at the end of the season. Obviously, we know that we're not going to be able to buy him in January, so it makes it easier for us to say that right now. But Elliot Anderson, at the end of the season, is when I will judge him, and I will tell you if he's worth 100 million or not. Right now, he is a 60 million pound player because he's only done it for a season and whatever he's played this season. Season and a bit, let's just say. I think that's fair. I do. And to be honest, if you have had 1 season in the Premier League and you're already being valued at 60 million, you're going in the right direction. If you give me another full season of this, then you might creep up to 80 million. And that's just how it works. You need to have consistency. You need to have a clear... that's just, what's the right word I'm looking for here? You need to have that. You need to have them games under the belt. You need to have that experience in the Premier League and a consistency in performance, I think, to be worth anywhere near that amount of money. You look at what Matthias Cunha, Brian Mbeumo cost Manchester United, and they were Prem-proven players that had done it for years. And we're talking more than 3 years for these players now. So that's the difference. 100 million is Ballon d'Or levels for me. Rice and Haaland aren't that. I'm with Ant, and no one is really worth that money. I disagree. I think they are. In modern day markets, I think they are. I get where people are at with that, though. I'm not going to say that you're wrong. I mean, Ballon d'Or level. Look, you cannot use Ballon d'Or as a guide, I don't think. You're talking buddy Ronaldo and buddy Messi. Like, is Mbappe worth 100 million? Is he? Is Harry Kane worth 100 million? Or would he have been worth 100 million if he was 26, 27? We need 3 midfielders, not 1. We need to believe in our scouts and bring in players like Lamens, well scouted and fair priced. That never happens consistently, though, I'm afraid. But it is difficult to actually say what fair value is. And scouting certain players, it's not easy. It really isn't easy to get the right players, I don't think. The ones that are unproven to come in like Lamens, that's difficult. We tried this also with Dorgu, haven't we, in the outfield, and he's not quite cutting it at the moment. Jury's still out on that one. But yeah, I do think that Manchester United, I've got a good scouts. Trust in some of the scouting that we're actually doing, and let's see what comes of it. But sometimes you just got to buy the absolute quality, and we'll see. Anderson is a 50 million plus 10 million add-ons maximum. Don't want superstars, says Savage. You look at Anderson as a defensive midfielder, but at Bristol Rovers he was a 10 and was their top scorer when 18 or 19. Interesting. For some reason, the hardest league in the world seems to have no Ballon d'Or winners. Standards, there is more quality in the Prem than any other league. McTominay is on the Ballon d'Or list. Remember, let's be honest here with this one as well, Carlo, mate. You're talking about FIFA. I'm not going to go any more into that, but you know what I mean by that. And one country FIFA does not like. That's it. I'm saying no more. Saying no more. There is a lot to deal with that, though. But, hey, look. He's not worth that. He's not worth that. Stadium updates quickly as well, everybody. That is moving forward, and again, Simon Stone from the BBC has given us an update on this and said that the work and the groundwork going on behind the scenes is progressing. It is looking more and more likely. The redevelopment of the area is moving forward now alongside stadium plans. So it is all positive and moving in the getting the new stadium complete stage now anyway. Look, I have got football training tonight, so I'm going to leave you all with that there. That is you completely up to date with all the news going around Manchester United, everybody. Don't forget to get your comments in below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and like button on the way out as well, everybody. Massive appreciation for you all. We will get through the week with all of the news. Back tomorrow, of course, at 8 o'clock in the morning. I will see you there, everybody. Have a fantastic evening.